Today's episode of the No Fun City podcast is brought to you by Questrade. There's a new world of investing where the fees are low and you come first. It's time to switch. Head over to questrade.com to check out do-it-yourself, self-directed investing. Take matters into your own hands, build your own investment portfolio with a self-directed account, and save on fees. Make your money work harder. Questrade is Canada's fastest growing online brokerage with over 21 years experience in the Canadian market, $18 billion in assets under administration, and a 9-time winner of the best managed companies in Canada. And you could rest assured knowing that your money is in good hands. They go above and beyond to protect your account with an additional $10 million in private insurance, so you know your money is safe. For more information, check out questrade.com. Just use the link in the description below. On to our show. Well, he always does something. Welcome to the No Fun City podcast, episode 16. We are back on another Zoom episode because this corona pandemic, it just won't go away, Britt. Before we get into it and before I introduce our special guest for today, I just want to give a quick shout out to today's sponsor. Are you thinking about trading? I know Britt is thinking about trading and investing and kind of like banking and all that jazz. And we might get into a little bit about that. But if you're thinking about doing this, head over to Questrade. They're the new sponsor for the channel. Questrade, that's Questrade. And you could check out how you can invest yourself. Super easy. I use it. I literally do use it, and I don't use it because they're a sponsor. I just use it because that's one of the platforms that I use. So go check them out. There's a link in the description below of this video. Would really appreciate that. They support me, so I'd love it if you guys supported them. That being said, let's get into it for today's episode. Vancity Britt is joining me. But Britt, why don't you tell the folks what your real last name is, like your full name?
I never tell my last name.
Really? Why not? Just because?
Because, you know, I try to keep my social media stuff very separate from my professional career.
Yeah.
In law, not because I have anything to hide, but it's just like, you know, I just want to keep them separate.
No, I totally hear that.
But I mean, my last name's German. It's Kuntz, so it's as German as it gets. But that's
okay. Well, you just shared your last name.
There you go.
So, like, you know what though? It's funny that you should say that because I am now figuring out that I made the mistake of having my full name on all my social media instead of just having just my first name or whatever. So I've actually gotten messages, for example, on Facebook from random people like asking me questions, whether it be about the podcast or whatever. And I'm like, oh crap, like I might have to make my Facebook more private, you know, or whatever, right? I gotta like maybe change the way that I'm found on social media. And it's a good segue because today, part of what we're going to be talking about is social media. So before we get into, I don't know, all the details of social media and whether I made the mistake of having my full name, Britt, why don't you tell the people exactly it is what you do?
I'm a social media expert here in Vancouver. I help businesses and entrepreneurs just figure out how to use social media for their brand, for their business, how to utilize the platforms. And I do a little bit of influencing as well. And
what is an influencer?
Oh God.
I know, right? Because some people always say, they're like, oh yeah, influencer, but a lot of people don't really, I guess, comprehend what an influencer is. They just think it's someone who just posts stuff on Instagram, but it's more than that, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, look, my opinion of an influencer, and if you're going to have that word beside your name, I want to know that you're giving back to the community. I want to know that you're making an impact and sharing your story and being positive. And I don't want to see, you know, all you do is sell clothing or face cream on every post that you're doing. I just, you know, I really don't like the word, to be honest. I don't take it lightly. Using that word, I just feel like you need to be able to back up what you're saying, how you're living. And a lot of people are just not, all the fakes are being exposed now, basically, I feel like. Through the pandemic especially as well, because everybody wants to embrace social media now and they want to work from home, and now everybody's using Zoom, and like our lives are all transitioning now in the next 20 years to the tech. That's where we're going, right? So yeah, in my opinion, an influencer is somebody who gives back to the community. They have an influence over a group of people, or people listen to you. So I want to be giving back. I want to be speaking on important things. I want to be really making a difference. And I don't want to see influencer beside somebody's name if they're not doing something positive for other people. It's so important, and I cannot say this to people enough. If you buy Instagram followers and you want to look big on Instagram, for example, and then a brand comes to you and you go to sit in a boardroom with them and have a meeting with them about money, you're going to have to back up that you have a following, that people
Totally.
actually, you can't, it's going to get to a point where it's going to be like, are you going to be able to prove what you've been saying you've been doing, right? So I just try to push to people that you just need to be truthful. And I mean, I'll tell you, let's say 80% of what you see on Instagram is absolute bullshit. Like, the people that have like stay healthy and like, like the bios are like, some of these people don't even live by what they're saying, like family first. And then it's like, no, you don't even, like just, you got to really look at it a different perspective, because it's really, the youth are really, really struggling with social media and the images and the anxiety that it can create for these kids, so.
And then real quick, going back on that,
yeah,
like what you just said, it's also like what you're talking about is the stats show the proof is in the pudding. Like I could have like 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel,
right.
But at the end of the day, like my content, there are stats that are generated. How many minutes do people watch? How many new viewers? How many people are subbing after the fact and before? All of that is on my dashboard. And if you're actually getting approached by these companies, most of them actually do want to see like you back it up. That's you backing it up there, right? In my sense, I'm kind of putting it into my shoes.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I used to refer to myself as an entrepreneur because I did do so many things. Like I didn't do one thing. So I didn't want to classify myself as whether it be a graphic designer or a filmer and editor or a podcaster. Like I have so many different directions that for me, it just made sense. Looking back on it, I don't regret doing that because I felt like I was in that mindset. And it's not like I was like a 20-year-old who said he was an entrepreneur. I was established. I have a business, like whatever, right? So for me, it made sense. But even now, I've removed that because I'm becoming more focused in the things I do.
Right.
And speaking on being more focused on the things you do, you have become more focused on the things you do as well. So let's talk a little bit about, I don't know where you want to start with this, because we could start with the community side of the things that you do, or we could start with the actual business side. And I think maybe we should start with the business side because it's important for people to understand what you do for a living and then how you do, I guess, the whole give back thing on the other side.
Sure.
We'll talk about a few things in between, but like, why don't you give folks an example of like what a social media marketer or guru or expert kind of does? Like what's your day, what's a day in the life of Vancity Britt?
So like companies come to me and sometimes they'll just meet with me and want advice on how do we grow our following on LinkedIn, or how do we grow our following on Instagram. And then I have people that come to me that want me to actually run the social media platforms for them. So I'm the one going in every day, making posts, creating content, engaging with people, and getting the consistency going. And so it's different. I mean, I've been hired for different things, but it's always social media, you know, driven, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, different people want different things, and so yeah, so but a lot of the time I'm running these platforms for these businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And businesses are finally realizing how important social media is. I've been talking about this for years, and like nobody was listening, and like now through the pandemic, I've actually been doing the best I've ever been doing, because
Mm-hmm.
now everybody's like, I want to talk to you about this, and I need to build these platforms and stuff. So that's what I do for social media. Yeah,
Yeah, people are forced at this point. Like
absolutely.
even me, like I am super strict, like when I developed the podcast, on having in-house conversations. And
Right.
even me, eventually, after I think it was 2 months or 3 months of not doing the podcast, I'm like, I don't have a choice. It's either
Yeah.
I don't create the content and I have to ditch the podcast and it's going to look like a ghost town, or I literally got to do these Zoom meetings, like, or at least offer the opportunity, whether it be doing it on Zoom or in-house. And then,
Yeah.
so now I've decided I'm offering the opportunity. So our last episode, obviously we did in-house. You were actually there for that. And this episode we're doing here, but yeah, like they
I would
are.
prefer that, like when I'm really having a conversation with somebody,
Mhm,
like you, I would want to like see you and really talk to you in person, because I really do love that.
totally.
But I do love this aspect of life too now. I
Mhm,
really always embrace technology, and I think that's where my social media stuff started back in the day, was when I just saw that there was just an opportunity there, and I couldn't explain it, but I knew that there was going to be ways for me to make money, and I was always a hustler. I've always been grinding my whole life, 2 3 jobs,
mhm.
and so yeah, I just embraced social media from the beginning. So
That's
I love,
awesome.
yeah, I love
That's
it.
like the thing for me was that I got into social media, or at least the YouTube stuff, late. I wish I'd done it earlier. You know what
Oh,
I
you're
mean?
not late. You're not late. You're not.
I feel like, okay, if I'm not late, I feel like I'm late of the early people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get it.
Because I feel like I should have been doing this 10 years ago. I see the growth factor on
Mhm.
what I'm doing, and then also obviously the sponsorship and money and revenue coming in now,
Right,
and then the ability to do anything for content,
right.
like any, like whether it be a podcast or a review video, whatever, right?
Yeah,
That really appeals to me. And yeah, I wish I had jumped on this ship at least sooner than later, but better late than never, right?
absolutely.
um,
Yeah.
but yeah, why don't we talk about the community driven stuff? So beyond, I guess, working in social media, you also work in sort of a social scene. So do you want to talk about the added community efforts that you do?
Well, I work with Big Sisters of British Columbia. I've been a mentor with them for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I also am a mentor with the LGBTQ at Covenant House, Vancouver. So, and I do the outings, which is we take a group of girls out every second Tuesday, and we go do activities, whether it's a bike ride, a coffee, a movie, just to get the girls out of the shelter, get them thinking about something else.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been sad for me in the last 6 months, because I haven't been able to go to the shelter because of COVID. So
Right.
that sucked, because I haven't been able to do. When I give back to the community is when I feel like I'm actually just doing what I'm like, my purpose. That's my purpose. And I
Mm-hmm.
haven't been able to do that. So I've been struggling with that a little bit, but the universe has been transitioning me in a different way. So, when it pushes you away from something else, it's pushing you into something else to continue that, but in a different way. So, and then with Big Sisters, I'm graduating from the program this month with my little. We've been
Nice.
together for 5 years, and my little's transgender. So
Mm-hmm.
he just turned 19 or 18, if you can believe it. He's legal drinking age. That's 19, right? Yeah, 19.
I think legal drinking.
I
Yeah,
haven't been
yeah,
that
19. Yeah, yeah,
fucking
yeah,
old,
yeah,
okay? Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, just to see the transition that he's gone through and the
Mm-hmm.
support from them, and it just took me on a different journey of just really getting involved with LGBTQ and just seeing like firsthand really how much these kids go through. So,
Yeah,
yeah, those are the two things that I've been focused on here in Vancouver.
nice. That's awesome. So Do you want to give more insight on dealing, I guess, with whether, I mean, you were, I guess, the big sister to this individual for the past 5 years. So well into their teenage years, especially, is when you were doing the big sister kind of thing,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So was the individual like transgender before you had met them, or was that something, a phase that they went through during the process, during the 5 years? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I'm going to tell you from my experience
Mm-hmm.
and from knowing a lot of LGBTQ.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a decision that's made overnight. It's something that has come from a young age. So it's not, but there's people that from all along from the spectrum of they have everybody's experience and story is different.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll speak on my little brother. He, knew from a young age that he was not a female. So it's been hard, when I started the program, Little Sisters, they really do their work with pairing you with somebody that they interview you, and it's an easy process, but it's an easy process, but they really do their work in the sense of they want to match you with the best person that's going to work out, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when they were interviewing me and speaking about some of my past stuff, and I said, like I've been homeless before and I've been on my own since I was at a young age and I really want to give back. And I told them a little about my story. And I also said, I really do want a little bit of a tougher situation because I want to grow, I want to learn, and I kind of just want, I've been through it. So I feel like I'd really be a positive thing for somebody that's going through something on a tougher scale of things. So
Totally.
they paired me with my little brother, and right away we just connected. And
Mm-hmm.
it's been hard, he's going through the transition now. And he just to see the person that he's become throughout all these years. And he's dealt with so much stuff like bullying and everything you can imagine that a child
Mm-hmm.
or a teen deals with in school, but also on the level of you're not being accepted by people because of what your choice to date somebody a just different gender or race or whatever. So it's been tough. It's been a long road. A couple times I was like what was I thinking? But yeah, to see the road now that he's going on, he's been working a full-time job for like 2.5 years. They've promoted him at work. He graduated from school. He's going to college in January, and he's just become the person that I always knew he was supposed to be. So sometimes these kids just need somebody to come in their life and be something for them, show
Totally.
positivity. So
Yeah, 100%. I do have a question based on what you said. So, and I don't mean to pry into this individual's life too much or
no, that's
whatever,
fine.
but this was something because so you're a big sister,
Yeah.
right? For little sisters, but this individual was male and then
No.
transitioned. It
So
was a female transitioning to male.
correct.
Okay, so in those situations, how do they determine whether they are setting up like a big brother or a big sister? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think at the time when he was young and the parents came into the program,
Mm-hmm.
I think they were just looking for a mentor, not, I don't think it was about the boy or girl thing. And I think at the time he was considered female. So that's where it started. Uh,
Okay, I see.
but there's not many trans youth in the program. So it's been very important for me to speak up and to
Mm-hmm.
share my story with my little brother because, there's a lot of trans kids out there that could really use a mentor. And I really applaud Big Sisters of BC for, supporting LGBTQ and stepping up
Mm-hmm.
and being a voice for those kids. So, but yeah, he started out female, but now he's transitioned and he's male now. So
Okay, cool.
yeah. And I
Um,
mean, trust me, I was like, what the hell? Like, I don't even know what the hell's going on. Like I
yeah,
learned so much through this journey with him. And
yeah.
it's been so amazing because it's opened my eyes to all of it. Like, I mean, when I was in school, I don't even think we even knew what gay was in high school. Like,
No.
and if we did, it wasn't talked about. I mean, I'm 36.
Totally.
I'm not young, but I mean, and now it's like, pronouns and all this shit. I'm like, I don't fucking know what that is, but
Yeah.
it's cool to really just get to know these kids and their stories and their experiences and stuff. I really embrace that kind of stuff. So
What I love about it now, well, it's not that I love about it, but what I like about society now is what I should say,
yeah,
is when I was in high school, there was like one or two gay or lesbian individuals, or at least ones that had come out during high school, right? Like in my years, and they seemed to be like outcasts when that happened. You know what I mean? When they would come out, it just they turned into outcasts. Like that was just visually visible, right?
yeah,
I'm not saying that I hated them or people hated them. They were just in a group of their own kind of thing.
yeah,
I mean, we did have like gay and lesbian club, for example, things like that, that support groups. They were just coming into programs and into schools at that point.
See, we didn't even have that at my school,
Yeah,
like
there you go.
at all.
But what I have noticed nowadays, and it's not that I know teens that well or anything like that, but based on, I guess I'm using TV shows and stuff as an example,
Yeah,
you're seeing a lot more gay and lesbian characters, for example. And it kind of seems like in the years that are younger than us, like that is a more common thing. And
yeah,
it's not even a thing to begin with. You know what I mean? Like you
absolutely.
don't look at someone and be like, oh, that person's gay, or oh, that person's lesbian, like
Yeah,
teehee, or whatever it may be.
yeah.
Right? It's kind of just like whatever.
Well, people
And
do.
that's what I appreciate about it now.
No, yeah, and it's so cool. I mean, look at Black Lives Matter now. I mean, it took fucking 2020 and a pandemic for like shit to hit the fan here. Like, we need a change. We need a change in trans people's lives. We need change in Black lives. Like, it's enough's enough. It's bullshit, And
Yeah,
like, I mean, like, it's just ridiculous, And so, yeah, I mean, LGBT, they just, they don't get the support that they deserve. So I really want to be a voice for them. And it's super cool, like you're saying, to see that now like society's like embracing shit like that and like, okay,
mm-hmm.
and a person like me, I'm like, let's move on here. Let's go, like,
Yeah,
hello, and I think you're the same, we're just kind of like, you just accept people for who they are and regardless of anything,
totally, 100%.
yeah.
Speaking of accepting people for who they are, thank you for coming on the podcast, by the way.
Thanks for
I
having me.
have to thank you specifically
Love it.
because, and I'll say this openly,
Yeah.
getting females onto the podcast, specifically females,
Yeah.
is difficult.
Really?
It really is. So I try to be quite diverse in the people that I bring on, and I try not to bring on too many males
Good.
specifically.
Yeah.
But it's like for every 5 or 6 females I approach to do the podcast, one will do it. Whereas with the males, they'll approach me, or if I approach them, it's like instant yes. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
I've only had 2 or 3 males, for example, say no,
Yeah.
but I've had females essentially say no for the simple fact that they would be uncomfortable to be on camera and stuff.
Oh yeah, totally. And I was gonna say to you, I wonder like what that is, but I get it because I'm female, obviously. But I feel like we've always been kind of suppressed a little bit. Like we
Mm-hmm.
can't be doing the same things that men do. And like we're pushy if we're, pushing our business. And if we're in a business meeting and we speak up, those kind of things. And I've experienced all those kind of things in my career. I mean, I've been in the legal field for 15 years and I have tattoos on my face. So you can just imagine the people that have judged me in a boardroom in a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it's just women are a little bit more timid, right? And so that's why I try to tell the younger girls too, like you gotta stand strong. You have to empower each other. We need to stick together. And it's time for changes with all that kind of stuff. So
Totally. So now, I have a list of empowering females, like,
Mm-hmm.
or females that I know are like gung ho and
Yeah.
like have confidence and stuff,
Yeah.
that I'm going to be approaching to do the podcast, because I really want to mix it up. And I think
Good.
yeah, I think, you know, you have to have a good and not just necessarily like male versus female, but I, and this goes back to like every episode of my podcast, it's always different. Even the episodes we do are different, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's fun, it's enjoyable, I
Yeah.
really
Maybe if they
appreciate
see
it.
my video with you, they'll be like, oh, okay, Britt did it. Maybe I can do it, you know?
Yeah, totally, right?
And
Yeah.
I honestly, I hate interviews. I hate,
Hmm.
no, I'm not going to say hate. I don't like it. It's uncomfortable for me. I've always been with a celebrity friend behind the scenes. I've always been the person behind the paper. I've always been the person behind the phone calls. I've never been the face. Uh,
Totally.
so pushing my brand's been hard for me at times because I'm like, I don't want to be on a camera or whatever. It's not what I prefer to do, but I know it's important to do. And so I'm embracing it as much as I can now. And just, you know
Hmm.
what? I don't care what I look like today. My hair is a mess. I'm like, I just don't give a shit. Like, you either like me the way I look or you don't. And as long as I'm comfortable and I'm having a really good conversation, and you know, you have to push your brand too. So you have to get yourself out there. But eventually, I'd like my brand to get to a point where I don't have to be doing my own stuff, I guess, like
Oh,
art
totally.
stuff and stuff like that. So
100%.
yeah,
Speaking of doing your own stuff, you have to give me a sec because I have to go push record on one of my cameras again.
sure, sure.
This is what happens when you do everything yourself. Like, legitimately,
Don't worry, you
I
can get it out.
no, wait. I got to vent here for a sec. I don't get enough credit for this. Okay. I edit the podcast myself. I film it myself. I
You
schedule it
poor
myself.
fool.
I do everything. All of this, it's just me.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I'm gonna throw this out there. If you know anybody who wants to help out on a podcast, or anybody who lives in Vancouver and digs the shit that I do and wants to join up for, like, just, I need a producer person,
yeah, yeah,
or somebody that could be behind the cameras while I'm doing this. It's
yeah,
getting
yeah.
to that point where I have to do it. So somebody hit me up. I'll, you know, link in the description below to my emails and stuff like that.
Yes, hit him
Um,
up.
yeah, give me a sec. By the way, can you hear my dog snoring at all?
No, but I
No?
wish I could because that would be
Okay.
amazing right
Yeah,
now.
I know. He's snoring right next to me. Give me a sec.
It's
I really
so
don't. Yeah.
fucking time consuming to do content,
It
dude. Like,
is. People don't realize. They think we're just like effing around or having fun. I mean, it is fun. When you enjoy your work, you enjoy what you're doing. It is fun. But you guys have no idea the amount of work and planning that goes into each episode of just the podcast alone, or
yeah,
even like what you do for your clients. You don't understand it until you're in it and you do it.
yeah.
So people who are kind of like, oh, content creators, YouTubers or whatever, get up and do it for one day and see
Uh-huh.
if you could get it done. It's not easy. And that is why this podcast is only once a month right now. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Oh, I know. It's like, and like, how old are you?
I'm
I just outed you. Sorry.
okay.
I just feel
I'll
like
cut
when you
that
get
part out.
older,
I'm actually gonna bleep out my age so
you're
nobody knows.
so funny. I hope you do that, y'all. No, I just feel I brought up the age thing because you know what, like fucking mid-30s are just great, and you're so young still, and there's so much to do still, but I feel like, you know, you just don't want to waste your time on
Totally.
shit that is not going to be beneficial to you in the next 5 years, right?
Oh,
And
100%.
yeah, and like content creation's just, it's a lot. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, I love it and I love doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And like, yeah, I can't wait until I could ditch, for example, making websites and doing graphic design for other people and
Yeah.
just focus solely on doing just all of that stuff for my channel and for my content and for my YouTube and social media. Definitely
Brand is
not.
dope. The name is dope. You know, I would tell you, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, no,
I,
100%. And I'm gonna need Vancity Britt to kind of get some stuff going for me, because although the
talk about,
podcast,
and we're going to talk about the trading stuff too, because I want, in
Yeah.
on all that shit because I'm
Yeah, totally.
an entrepreneur too, and I want to like get in, and then I want to be able to show other women how to do it too. Because
Yeah, 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 definitely. And part of that, like right away, Britt, I'll tell you, is you should get Quest Trade.
okay, cool.
Not to toot
Plug,
the horn.
shameless
Yeah,
plug.
shameless plug for my sponsor. But legitimately, and also another one, and these guys are not my sponsor, but I will put a link to the description of these guys down below, is Wealth Simple.
Okay.
And I'm actually almost transitioning my entire banking to Wealth Simple. And Wealth Simple is different from Quest Trade. I mean, we'll get into that
Yeah.
later when we talk.
Yeah.
But those are two easy platforms for people who are new to investing and trading, and even like your banking needs. Those are two that I highly recommend for new investors and new people to the trading program to kind of
Okay.
use. And Wealth Simple is mainly more of a banking kind of like online banking thing with just a high interest rate. And you don't really do anything with it. You just build your portfolio, and they kind of they just give you a high rate back on having your
Okay.
money there. Now, people might think, oh, well, I have a financial advisor, and oh, my bank handles all of that stuff. In fact, somebody told me that the other day, and I kind of laughed in my head because I'm like, you don't realize how easy it is to actually handle all of that yourself. You don't need a bank. And if you don't trust these online platforms, you really have no reason not to, because they are all backed by the same insurance that your banks are backed by. So
Mm-hmm.
Wealth Simple and Quest Trade both are backed by, like, if they go under, your money is still safe.
Yeah.
Any money you had on that platform is still safe. It's insured and it's backed. So
People just don't like change. They don't
mhm,
like technology. They don't get it. Some
yeah,
people are just
they
like,
don't like
oh,
what they don't know, is what it
exactly.
is, right?
Exactly. It's
Yeah,
about like telling people, like, look, I do this. It's like, they think, oh, my money's like not going to be there.
yeah,
They're going to take it from me or whatever. But, you know, it's fascinating still, the transition that people just don't want to switch over to certain things like that.
totally.
And a shameless plug for me is
Do
these glasses
it.
that I'm wearing today are Sin
Ooh,
Blue paid sponsorship that I have with them right now. And
nice.
they have dope, cool glasses for all
Sick.
styles, all different types of looks. And I love these glasses. They're Blu-ray and they protect your eyes when you're on your phone on social media all day, on the computer like I am all day. So it's cool.
You can
Check it
send me
out.
your link and I'll
I
put it
will.
in the description below as well.
Yeah.
But it's funny that you should mention the fact that people don't like change, because a friend of mine messaged me this week. I'm not going to out this person per
Okay.
se. I should. If they're listening, they know
Okay,
who they
Britt.
are.
Oh,
No, 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 no. Because the thing is, when it comes to money and investments, all that jazz, it's not my business to tell other people's business when it
yeah,
comes to that kind of stuff.
true, true, true.
I can mention the story, but I don't need to mention the person. So 3 years ago is when I first started getting into Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And when that happened, there were a lot of naysayers at that point. Oh, too good to be true. Or, oh, like, you're going to lose all your money to hackers and all this stuff. And time again, those people have eventually come back to me saying, hey, so how do I invest in Bitcoin? You know what I mean? One of these individuals was like the biggest hater on this stuff, and he's somebody that he's a friend of mine and I do care about him. So obviously I tried to preach like, hey dude, you don't understand, like, this is gonna make you more money than any RRSP, any investment that you have. Like, it's just gonna, if you do it right, it'll work. Long story short, I get a message from them today, or not today, it was like 3 or 4 days ago, and they've actually messaged me essentially every day since, like texting me, asking me questions.
Yeah.
Hey, so how do I get into Bitcoin? Another friend of mine is in it, and now I think that it's here to stay, like, blah, blah. I'm like, well, yeah, buddy, because last time we talked, it was at like 6,000 US, and now it's at 12,000 during a friggin' pandemic.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're now getting into crypto. And when they finally told me that they were getting into crypto, that's when I was like, okay, it must be here to stay if this guy is using it.
Right.
So it just goes to show that you can be right on something. Everyone can think you're wrong. That doesn't mean you shouldn't go with your gut. I
Absolutely.
was told time and time again, I'm going to lose all my money. I'm going to whatever, like, don't get into Bitcoin. You're going to get hacked or whatever. None of that ever happened to me. And
Yeah.
I did good. Like
And
I
I
did
mean, you're
really
not
good.
telling people to put fucking $10,000 in their account.
No,
I mean,
no.
you gotta do your research about these things. You don't just
Yeah,
like when somebody tells you something that's new, you don't just right away write it off. You gotta look into it. You know what I mean? And if you're
totally.
not comfortable using it, that's fine. But you know, if you can afford $20 or $30 or whatever it
Mhm.
is just to get started, I just don't see why not. I mean, just see where it
Yeah.
goes, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it's not like
Not even like with
where's the
crypto, but
harm?
within any investment in general. Like another buddy of mine who trades not just crypto but also stocks, put it perfect. He's like, at any time in your life, you can invest in a company like Samsung or Apple or Windows. It's only after the fact that people say, "Oh, I should have invested in Apple. Oh, wow, Tesla stock is at $1,200 now." It's
Yeah,
like, well, Tesla stock was at 400, 500, 600, 700. You had ample time to buy any of these things and you didn't.
yeah.
In May, I told 3 friends, buy Yeti. You know Yeti, the cooler company? Like they
Uh,
make
no,
thermoses.
I
Okay,
don't.
Yeti is like a high end. They're like uh Coleman, like the cooler, the
Okay.
portable coolers that you take camping.
Yeah.
They're like that, but the high end version of it. Okay, they're called Yeti. And this year, like they went from usually like the average Yeti stock price or whatever share price is, sits between like $20 and $28. This year, I heard that they were launching in Asia and in other markets that they weren't before. I heard that they were also releasing a new line of products. And at that point, it was just before summer. And even though we were in a pandemic and prices were low, I took initiative and invested in Yeti. I invested in Yeti at around like, I think $18 or $19. Once again, I told a bunch of people, invest in Yeti. I could list at least 5 people I told that to who could vouch
Wow.
for this.
You didn't tell me,
Um,
bro. So you know what?
I think when we spoke, I may have. When were we talking last? I must have. Yes, I'm pretty sure I did.
Damn it.
I'm pretty sure I did
I
because I was
feel like
telling.
you did.
We were talking about trading. I'm pretty sure I did. So, yeah, I told at least 5 people, 5 close friends, invest in Yeti between the price of like $18, $19 to $28. That's a good price to buy in at. It peaked at $56 or $54 in end of August. So
Wow.
between May to August, it went from like 28 to $56
Wow.
each stock or share that you bought. So, you know, part of it is also staying on top of like the news or what's happening with certain companies that you're looking into. But yeah, don't count anything out. I mean, Yeti is a cooler company. If I came up to you in May, and I understand it, like when people are like, when they don't invest or they don't consider it. If somebody came up to me in May and said, hey, invest in this cooler company, I probably wouldn't have done it had I not looked into figuring out what exactly they were doing.
Yeah.
But
Did I
it's
did I see you before the pandemic? Right before it, right? I think
you saw me during the pandemic. Remember, you came in with Tyler Hatch.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
but I feel like
And
it was
remember, because we weren't, I was like, you guys can, I want to do it in house.
oh
And
right.
then we were kind of debating whether we were going to do that or not. And then it was actually after like the first wave because we had decided, oh, things are kind of like,
You thought it was
settling.
getting off, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I remember now.
So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Wow.
so it was, and I'm positive I would have mentioned it to you if we were talking about stocks and stuff.
Probably
So
did, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
probably.
yeah, it's like sometimes you got to go after the stuff that isn't exactly there. Like everyone wants Tesla right now, right? Like Tesla stock. But
Really?
nobody thinks about a cooler company during the summertime. So it's just, you got to kind of be open, I guess, when it comes to stocks and stuff, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah. Tell me more about your social media stuff. Enough with stocks. People hate it when I talk about stocks.
I'm like,
Because
tell
it's
me
every,
more.
yeah, it's like every episode I get into Bitcoin or stocks.
I
And
love
then I feel like there's a crowd that's just like, oh, yeah, just stop telling me what to invest in. But people, had you listened to me, you would have made some good money, is all I'm
Yeah,
going to
man.
say.
I'm like, I'm gonna be listening to you from now on.
Yeah, now I worry that if you do and you lose all your money, you're going to blame me.
Ah, don't
So
worry,
don't
I'm
do
not
that.
putting that responsibility on you. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So Britt, let's say I need help with social media marketing.
Yeah.
Like what's like our first meeting looking like? Like what are you doing? Like give me some, break it down for me. Like
Oh, I honestly want to know from somebody's mouth exactly what they're looking for. Like,
mhm.
you want more followers? I want to know what you're looking for with
Yeah,
your
I would assume everything comes down to growth.
with your
Like
company. Yeah, I mean, and then based off of that conversation and what that person says to me, then I kind of can determine how much time I would have to spend on a platform, what I would be doing on the platform to get those results.
mhm.
Like, I mean, some people are like, I literally just want you to grow my following. So that's what I do. Or I want to have more sales in my business. So then I go in and, like, I mean, it's just a array of things, whether it's like reviewing analytics and, and really focusing on what people are looking at when it comes to, what are people focusing on? That's kind of
Mhm.
something that I like always am paying attention to. What are people like, TikTok, oh, people are watching TikTok now, like that kind of thing. So it's just different per person and company.
Mhm.
I mean, what somebody's looking for, I guess, right?
Totally.
Everybody, if you have a business out there, I'm telling you right now, you need to be on social media, and you need to have more than one social media platform. I don't ever want a business to just have one, because what
Mhm.
if Instagram's not around tomorrow? What are you going to do if you're
Yeah.
only popular on Instagram, but
Mhm.
Instagram's gone tomorrow? What are you going to do? Right? So, and some brands, I tell them, I don't really, like, it depends on what the company is, what the brand is. I don't always use all platforms for all companies too. I mean, some companies, I just feel like, LinkedIn's not important for them. I feel like it's
Mhm.
more Instagram and Facebook for them. And then some brands, it's like, I don't even see you on Instagram. You need to be on LinkedIn because that's where your demographic is or whatever. So
Totally. Yeah.
yeah, it's just figuring that out with a person, I feel like,
Mhm.
and what they're looking for their business. So
Okay. Do you also do like PR stuff?
yeah, yeah. So I used to work for the old Attorney General of BC. I
Mhm.
was assistant for 7 years, so I have a background in PR with him, but also I've done work with some of my celebrity friends as well. And yeah, I've
Oh yeah,
dabbled in
mention
some.
some of the celebrities you've worked with.
Oh, I can't do that.
Why not? I've seen photos.
I
It's
can't.
on social media.
I know. Well, they're my friends, but I don't tell who I do business with, right? But
Yeah.
I can't do that. But yeah, I mean, sometimes it's like a celebrity friend literally calling me on a Saturday afternoon and being like, I don't know how to fucking deal with this. Like,
Mhm.
what do I do? And so sometimes I feel like if somebody's putting a narrative out about you, about your business, something that you don't want people to believe, right?
Mhm.
You can always take control as a person and put a narrative out there to be like, no, this is not what happened, this is not what was said, or this is not how I feel. And you and people don't realize that. People are like, I don't want to talk about things, or I don't want to, uh, I don't want to approach this topic or whatever. But people need to realize that the more that you are willing to talk and put yourself out there and approach a conversation, the more that you're going to be able to take the narrative away from other people, put it back in your hands, and be like, you can't do anything with this now. You know what I mean? It's in my hands now. So
Mhm.
you can think what you want to think or whatever. So I've definitely dabbled in the PR world for sure.
But the thing with that is sometimes even if you do that, it doesn't matter. Like I've seen a few instances recently with a couple, or I guess not a couple, but a
Give example.
few. Uh, That's the thing. I don't want to give a straight up example because I don't want to like pull some sort of like I don't want to make it look like, essentially it would make it look like I am backing somebody who potentially has done something
Okay.
horrible.
Okay.
And I don't know the true answer, but this person, for let's just use like one individual that I'm thinking about, and
Talk
this is
about
a
Michael
legit
Jackson.
no, like something recent, right? Because
Okay.
this comes into like there's aspects of it that I want to mention. So
Okay.
this individual has worked essentially their whole life in Hollywood, right? Down the road, just recently, they've become much more popular and they've gotten a lot more contracts.
Okay.
Suddenly, this individual gets accused by one person of a type of assault.
Okay.
Okay. Now, this person from history, like when you could even go back and see video footage, is constantly talking about how they are against that kind of stuff, like the assault. Like anytime that person has brought up the topic type of thing, they've always defended the fact that that kind of stuff shouldn't happen and it's wrong and whatever, right? So you see this kind of history pattern of them being on the side of, let's just say, like victims, right?
Right.
But what happens is, before this, now this person gets accused of assault and now suddenly loses work contract, gets axed from their I guess their management firm,
Yeah.
right? uh Essentially had a podcast and is now sort of like off of that as well.
Yeah.
Was on a show that was killing it and has been removed. Had
Mm.
something that was going to go on Netflix, is no longer going up on Netflix. Uh, and at this point, you don't know, we still don't know if this person has done anything wrong yet.
Right.
So there hasn't been any going to court. There hasn't been any arresting. There hasn't been any. In fact, I haven't been able to find anything after the fact of them just being accused of something. Now, this is all based off something someone said about them from 20 years ago.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, look,
So my whole position with this is, it sucks if that person has not done anything wrong and has now lost everything that they worked for.
yeah, I think there needs to be a little bit more of a leeway there.
Yeah. Also, I want to make it clear, I'm not taking sides with, like, for example, oh, this person is like didn't do this or whatever. I'm just saying, like, and when it comes down to like the way things come out, I guess, on social media, and then the repercussions that are made before any, I guess, like evidence or any, you know, due process has
Yeah.
happened, is
Yeah.
kind of flawed. And then another side of that is that I think that people who may have lied about those kinds of things should also have to face the same consequences that people would have faced if they actually committed an assault,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And I'm a Me Too survivor.
Of
So
course. Yeah,
I've,
this is why I kind of bring this up with you.
yeah, I've been through the court system. I was sexually abused when I was younger. And
Mhm.
so, like, I agree with what you're saying. I think that there needs to be some leeway there. There needs to be a different process. In regards to, like, today, it's just so easy for somebody to accuse somebody of something that they weren't that they didn't do. So
Mhm.
um that being said, I'll always believe somebody if they say that they have,
Mhm.
because I would never, I'd rather just believe somebody, and then if it comes out that it didn't happen, then at least I can
Mhm.
say, you know what, that's on you.
Mhm.
That's on you.
Yeah.
Because I've been in that space where, you know, you don't want to tell anybody because you don't know if anybody's going to believe you. And that's the hardest thing. And that's why it takes 20 years for somebody to finally say, you know what, it's time for me to talk about this. Or they have their own children and they have this revelation, or I don't know what the fuck it is, but sometimes it's just the timing or whatever. But back to what you're saying is, do I think somebody should lose everything off of something that was said? No, I think that they need to go through the process of figuring out what has happened. And I don't think everybody should just drop somebody, but I do understand that that's a tough it's a tough business move, right? Like, I
Yeah,
mean,
well, it comes down to exactly what we're talking about, which is, your social media marketing and the PR, is that there is this element. And if you're working, for example, for a company and maybe they sponsor somebody who gets accused of something, like, what do you tell them to do at that point, not knowing the answer? And I already know the answer is, well, we have to drop that person, or we have to disconnect ourselves. And even that person is told, don't say anything, don't do anything, just cut yourself off from the world for the next 6 months or year, or when people forget about it. You know what I mean? And that's exactly what they do. An example of that right now going on would be Chris D'Elia, right? I mean, he was accused by 5 women, I think, of sexual misconduct. Not necessarily Chris D'Elia. He's a comedian, kind of longer hair.
Okay.
I don't want to say good looking, but yeah, girls find him attractive. Okay, anyway, I'll put a photo of him maybe if I can find one, like somewhere here. Yeah, you can check it out later. But he's a very famous comedian. He has a Netflix special, all this stuff, right? But yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, he was accused by 5 women. Okay, so different story than what I'm talking about. So I could understand why someone like Chris D'Elia, for example, would be dropped. But yeah, there is this sort of like gray area within this mix that of like the Me Too sort of movement, right? That kind of, I feel like, and I'm sure I'm not the only one. I feel like that part of it is a little bit, I don't want to say too much, but yeah, too much in this social media context that we're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, and like, do you even know sometimes if you're even being told the truth 90% of the time? I mean, look,
it's the internet.
Yeah, look, I mean, I don't take sexual assault or abuse lightly at all. I mean,
Totally.
when the Me Too thing happened, I thought, I've been living this for fucking 25 years, and now this is just becoming a thing, like I dealt with this when I was like, a young girl, and now people are like, it was fascinating to me, because I thought, wow, like, this is really great. But I didn't realize how much I'd really been through until that started. And then I thought, wow, I'm really proud of myself for the things that I had gone through at that time. And something on this topic that I feel is really important for people to know, especially victims, is from the legal aspect of things too. Okay, so I'll kind of tell you a little bit of a story. There was a guy out here in Vancouver who was in the nightlife industry.
Okay.
I worked with this individual. He was accused by many, many, many women of sexual assault. And I've witnessed it firsthand. And I've spoke up about that. And I have no problem speaking about it. And, some of the women were going on social media and they were doing some things that were, I mean, I understand people are angry and they're sad and they're scared and they're reaching out, and, but you gotta really be careful about what you're posting on social media when you're going through something like that. And, you gotta keep your stuff private. You gotta deal with it with a lawyer. You need to deal with it with a counselor. You need to deal with it away from people. And it was important that these women shared their stories, but it did get to a point where I thought, just, you remember, everything's going to be used against you in a courtroom if you're going to court with somebody too. So just really important for me to try and tell people out there, if you're a victim, just, confide in the people that are very important to you, that are going to support you, and, do it in a way that you can kind of, protect yourself. Because that's really, really important, I think.
And the reason why it's important is because honestly, and I've seen this before, people, or I guess we'll just use women as an example, or let's just say victims, because it could go either way.
Yeah.
Victims have come out on social media before, put somebody on blast, then later that individual shows screenshots, shows photos, shows things that that person sent them that proves the exact opposite.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree with you. I think if you've got something to say it to your lawyer, say it to the police, say it to the people around you, but don't say it on social media. Because as soon as you do
Not
that,
kind of topics. No.
yeah, and you might make a mistake. Like you might, and by that I mean you might say something that might be taken in the wrong context, that the defense attorney of the suspect or whatever you want to call them is going to use against you.
Yeah, and you don't want to look like you're not credible in a courtroom, and that's important. That's really important what you're saying.
Yeah. We saw it with the John Gomeshi case so long ago.
I don't even know what the hell.
Just like a CBC radio host. I forget how long. This was probably like 10 years ago. But yeah, essentially, I mean, like, yeah, the guy, like, definitely sexual assault claims, like, whatever.
Yeah.
But the credibility of some of the women were implicated by, I guess, text message they had sent, and then they lied directly in court about stupid things. Like, it wasn't even something that you would lie about, but because they did that, it took away their credit. You know what I mean? Or because they were telling two false stories, it took away their credibility. Now, this was 10 years ago, so my mind is a little foggy, the fact that I even remembered that.
Yeah, no, that's
but yeah, I remembered that being part of the case was that they weren't sure what to do. And one day in court, like, essentially one or two of the females was like accused of lying, and it was proven right there.
Yeah, and I mean, thank God I didn't have the fucking internet when I went through it, because I don't even think I could have made it through the other end. It was really scary. And when I came out with my story, 15 other girls from my school was abused by the same person.
Oh wow.
And people from all areas of BC, Chilliwack, Abbotsford. I mean, I have the court papers. It's 25 accounts, I want to say, on there. And there was a lot of people that didn't speak up that it had happened to. Yeah. This was a gentleman that was a volunteer with the police department as well. So
it's always these people who are like perfect community members or something.
Oh, he positioned himself perfectly to be a volunteer with police so that nobody would suspect what he was doing, right? I mean,
totally.
There's different spectrums of abusers, but the one that I dealt with was another level of where somebody will, go to the extremes to be in a position where they can abuse people and nobody's going to think twice. And it's always the people that are the closest to you, whether it's a teacher or a parent or an aunt or an uncle or a cousin, for example. So, I mean, I was so young at the time when it happened that I was protected by the court. So it went through, it was in the news. It was a huge fucking thing at the time. Like, I mean, it was huge in Delta. And yeah, I mean, if I had the internet at that time, I think, oh my God, like, what, and I didn't even want to go to school for the last 2 years because I was so embarrassed by the whole situation. I didn't know how to deal with it. I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, mental health issues, depression, panic disorder. So, I couldn't even really function day to day. But my high school was so supportive. The teachers and everybody was just came together and they helped me graduate school. I probably shouldn't have, but thank you, Siakam Secondary, for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other story, which is something that I'm actually working on a docu-series about it with a couple other victims as well. And it's an important story to share because once I came out with that it had happened to me, all these other people came out and said it. But I'd been investigating him for a little bit on my own to get enough backing on myself, because I thought, like, I just wasn't ready to do it. I mean, I think it took me like 2 years before I even said anything, from like, like, yeah, it took me about 2 years, because I'd cut myself off from that person being able to abuse me. And then took me about 2 years for me to get to a point where I thought, I know that he's doing this to other people, and I cannot live with myself if I don't say anything. So
Totally.
And like, you want to share your story. It's important because there's other victims out there, and there will be.
Oh, 100%.
But you just need to do it properly, and you got to think about everything you're doing and put your emotions aside. But unfortunately, a lot of these women are probably suffering, not just women, everybody, like, victims, right? But you just suffer from mental health stuff too on another level once you've been through something like that. So
that being said, a lot of my listeners and viewers are male, like, generally.
yeah.
But if there are any females listening, and I hope that I gain a bit of a, female following, because that would be nice.
Yeah.
But if there are any females listening, if you feel like you need to chat to anybody, I feel like Brittany here. I mean, I don't want to flood your emails with like depressing emails, but I feel like you should reach out to Brittany and maybe get some input, or just let her know how you feel, and
yeah. And you know what,
she has to say. I'm sure she's open for that.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
there needs to be more awareness around conversations like this. And they're tough conversations to have, but you gotta have them to help other people. And
Totally.
I'm totally, yeah. I mean, if you feel like you need to chat about something like that, please message me, DM me, contact me, and I would love to help you the best that I could. So
awesome. Brittany, what do you want to talk about now? Because we got into like some heavy dark shit.
It's 333, by the way. I always see triple numbers or doubles, so that's like apparently that's a good sign from the universe. And also, there's a beautiful butterfly that you cannot see that is sitting on my window right behind the camera, and I feel like, and I have butterfly tattoos. It's
I see the one on your hand.
Symbolism thing for me, and I feel like that was kind of, we were having this heavy conversation, and then that happened, and I was like, okay, well, because sometimes it's like, it's tough, because it's like, I want to talk about that kind of stuff because it's important, but it really weighs on me at times. I have to really like separate myself sometimes from the mentoring stuff and the social stuff, because it weighs on you a lot. It's hard to have conversations like that sometimes.
Oh, totally. 100%. You know what? I have a funny story. I wasn't going to share this story,
yes,
but getting away from a little bit of darkness. But okay, I'm happy we had that conversation.
Sunday, I'm like, I want to just chop it up with you. I don't.
Okay, so I got a pretty funny story. You remember when you were here? I was telling you I have an exchange student. Remember that?
Yep.
Yeah. So I had a foreign exchange student who lived with me. He does grade 10, he does grade 11, and he does grade 12. But throughout the years, like, he went from being a really goody kid to being like, oh, he's never home. He's coming home super late. I'm getting phone calls from the school that he's not going to school.
Oh no.
He's coming to, like, one day he came up to me and he's like, hey, here's like $200. Can you buy, or $300? Can you buy me these shoes online? I don't have a bank card because I'm a foreign exchange person. I'm like, yeah, okay. So I bought him the shoes. Like, everything was fine. The money added up. The shoes came. Like, everything was golden. And he was super thankful, whatever, right? And I'm going to come back to this whole bank thing. Okay. So hold that. Okay. So now, as I mentioned, this kid started not really going to school, not doing his homework, but I was like, whatever, right? Like, this kid, it's his problem. Now, understand, when you are in grade 10 and you have no parents, no supervision, like, your parents are across the Atlantic Ocean, you are not going to do your homework. You are going to fuck up. And especially when they're sending you money and don't know what's going on, right?
Wow. Yeah.
Like, this kid's parents are wealthy. So just the amount of rent that I was getting from him being in a room was quite a bit. And now on top of that, he's getting money to live.
Okay.
So for example, he was supposed to eat at home. Like I was supposed to make him food, and he's like, oh no, don't make me anything. I'm just going to eat out all the time. I'm like, okay. So I never had to make him food, but I'd still get paid for that portion, which
Sounds
was great.
like a dream.
Yeah. Oh, he
Dream.
was the best student. I'm not going to lie. Beyond what I'm about to tell you, he was the best student ever because he was just either in his room or he was not home.
Yeah.
And when he was in his room, he was quiet as hell.
Yeah.
So long story short, he just graduates, or I guess, I don't know if he graduated, to be honest. He sort of does grade 12 and then he has to do some summer school because he failed some classes.
Okay.
And then I get a phone call from his dad being like, hey, he's coming to Turkey and we're going to Turkey and we're having sort of like a family vacation together for the next couple weeks at his uncle's place. So he's coming to Turkey, he won't be there for a couple weeks. I'm like, okay, cool. So he flies off, and about a week and a half later, I get a call. It's his dad. And he's like, hey, my son didn't do any of his homework for the last 4 years. He didn't graduate or anything like that. So he is staying in Turkey at my brother's house at his uncle's place.
And I'm gonna whoop his ass.
I'm going to whoop his ass into shape, his brain into shape. I got to get him back calibrated, right?
Oh my God.
Now, understand, this kid thought he was going on vacation. So he just took what he needed. He didn't take everything. He didn't take all this shit.
Dad was like, oh, son, come visit, and like, great vacation for you. Oh, no.
Totally. No, it was a trap. Yeah. So his dad's like, here's the rest of the rent for this month, whatever, like this month's rent, like keep it. And then he's like, I'm like, what do I do with all of his shit? Like he's got a whole room full of stuff. And his dad's like, hold on to what you can. And anything you can't hold on to, just throw out. Like, sorry, like you could put it in storage if you want, but if you can't, I understand, just throw it out.
It's done. Yeah.
So I go in his room, and his room's always a mess. I go in there, I spend like a day just like going through his stuff, organizing it, putting it into, suitcases and stuff and luggage and all that jazz. Now, as I'm going through this stuff, I pull one drawer open and it's loaded with vape pens, like used ones. And I'm talking like 150 of these boxes of vape pens. Vape pens, yeah. Not a big deal, right? People vape. Okay, cool. You're high school, you're vaping. Cool.
I mean, if it was like a drawer of cocaine, I'd probably be like, okay, but
yeah, but vape pen, I don't even know why he was holding on to them, because they were like one-time use vape pens, and then you're supposed to throw them out. But for some reason, he had them all. I think he was worried I would find them. And then I would like be like, oh, bad, and tell his dad or something. I wouldn't do that. I don't care if you did.
Yeah.
So then I open his closet.
Uh-oh.
And there is, it looks like an airsoft gun. You know what an airsoft gun is? It's like a fake gun that shoots plastic pellets.
Okay.
It's like kind of like paintball, but without the paint.
Okay.
But upon further inspection, I realized it's a BB gun, not just a BB gun, a replica submachine gun Uzi that has steel pellets. And I'm like, what the hell? Now, these things are legal. Okay, this story gets much more crazy. So if you're listening to this, you think this isn't building up to something, just wait.
This guy's so bad.
No, I'm not going to say his name. Nobody really knows. He lived with me. It's all good. Yeah. So I hope he sees this, though. He might. So don't worry. I'm not going to say your name, and nobody knows you live with me. Yeah, you know this. So don't worry, dude. I got your back. I ain't like that.
Yeah.
So this submachine gun, whatever. And I'm like, what the hell? Then I see this like backpack in the corner, and it looks like used and really raggedy. And I pull open the backpack.
Oh my God.
It's full of like 150 different types of condoms. Not even the same ones. Just like, I was like, what the is this? And I was so like, what the hell? Like, first of all, If you have 150 condoms, use them. If you're
I
not going to use them,
not
don't
expect-
have 150 condoms. I could have opened a condom store with the amount that is in there. I swear. It gets better. On top of the condoms, I see like what looks like a blue water bottle.
Oh God.
And you already know.
Oh
I
God.
go to reach for it and I quickly realize it is not a blue water bottle. It is a blue penis pump that has clearly been used because I hope I'm not making you uncomfortable with what I'm saying, but
it's fucking hilarious. You could never make me uncomfortable with
and
it.
it's got like a stream of dried something on the side. I swear, I dropped it. I didn't touch it. I didn't touch the penis pump. I did not touch the penis.
You touched it.
I touched the bag.
Oh my God. You touched it.
So I drop the bag immediately. I'm like, what the hell is this? Right?
Wow.
And I'm tripping out. But then I keep looking through this stuff. And I mean, the sexual stuff, it's all done. I took a photo and I sent it to him on Snapchat. And just like a laughing face. I had to, man. If you're gonna
that's
do that
so
shit
cool.
in my house. Now, here's the thing that I was thinking when I found it was, holy fuck. This guy, probably 3 days ago when he found out he wasn't going to come back to Canada, is probably thinking, oh shit, this guy is going to find all of this stuff that I have.
Yeah. He's like, I got beat by my dad and now I can't get my friggin' penis pump whatever
back.
the hell it is.
Yeah.
Wow. What did those things do anyways? Like, I don't get it.
So that's the thing. I have now, like, the guy was already a mystery to me to begin with.
Right.
Now he's even more of a mystery to me as far as like his lifestyle and what he would do and whatever. Like it was crazy. So anyway, but the good part about this is I found a shit ton of brand new, unworn, tags still on clothing, like good men's clothing.
Yeah.
High end things that I would wear. So I took a bunch of sweaters and a bunch of like shirts, and then I also found some like what is it, like FIFA, like Madrid, Barcelona, like real like Nike jerseys.
Whatever. Okay, dope.
And luckily my friend loves FIFA and soccer. Pacholo, shout out to Pacholo. So I gave those to him. And then everything else, all the extra stuff, and there was lots of it, clothing, I just donated to Big Brother. So everybody won except for him. Yeah.
Wow. So the things that we don't know that goes on in our households that we don't even know.
Right. So, and he was like the best student. Like that's the funny part is like, I loved having him because he just never was a bother.
Yeah.
But now that I know his life, I'm just like, wow. Now here's the thing. That BB gun I told you about, I was able to sell it for $200.
Oh, there you go.
I was very responsible on the listing. I said you have to be like 21 or older.
Yeah.
And some guy from Langley came and he looked very responsible. He didn't look like he was going to kill anybody or shoot cats or anything with it. And he was very knowledgeable about it. So I sold it to him. Yeah, but that's my story of the week. Every now and then I have a story of the week.
That's awesome, man. That made my day, seriously. Yeah. And now you have condoms for the rest of your fucking life.
No, like, because here's the thing. You can't use condoms that you... No. Hey, anybody listening. You can't use condoms that you just find.
Okay, true.
Right?
Okay, whoa. Okay, yeah.
Right?
I didn't think of that. Ooh, yeah.
I'm going to be your big brother.
Yeah.
You have a little sister or whatever. Now I'm kind of teaching you the ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right? Okay. Unless you get them from a reliable source, like, they're in school or whatever, in one of those jars at college like they used to do. But don't just, if you find, even if they look unused, you never friggin' know what's going on.
No.
Right?
No.
Like, you're right. 99.9% those condoms were all good.
Yeah.
But you just and now with this history that we know of this individual now, right?
Yeah.
Never be sure, right?
So funny, man. Oh my God, you're probably like, what? Like, I would have loved to see the reaction video.
Oh gosh, it was literally like me being like,
so good.
Going into reach, being like, wait, huh? And I literally just did that, and the bag dropped.
You touched it.
Oh. Okay, I went I did not touch it. I'm going to make this very clear. I did not touch it, but even without touching it, I went and I washed my hands right away.
Good.
So I was like, what if
COVID
that stuff was,
style.
yeah, what if the
Good.
dried stuff was all around the bag? And then also, why is it in your backpack with a bunch of
I mean, I
condoms?
could probably tell you some stories of some. I'm sure I could think of a few things, but I'm not going to. But
Like a to-go kind of like situation?
yeah,
Oh,
hello.
wow. Wow. Anyway, yeah. I
Oh,
don't know if
that's
my viewers or listeners enjoyed that, but
well.
that's the story of the week. Oh, by the way, if you're listening to this podcast, did you know you could watch it on YouTube?
Yeah,
The
like
full thing on video and everything. So
shameless
just,
plug
yeah,
again. Yeah,
shameless plug, got to do it.
love it.
Yeah, totally. What else? What are we going to talk about before I let you get going?
I don't know. I mean, I just want to bring awareness around some of the things that I talk about with the youth. And if anybody needs any help with their social media, holler at your girl. And shameless plug, beinvancity.com.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about like, do you have any Facebook pages or
I have a
YouTube?
Britt Vancity Facebook business page. I have a personal Facebook, but whatever. And
Whatever. Yeah.
but my Instagram is my main platform that I use. I'm on LinkedIn as well. So yep, I'm on YouTube, but I don't
You don't use
like.
it?
I mean, to be honest, I don't, because I don't like doing videos, but I will be doing
Okay.
more because I do need to utilize the platform a little bit more. But I just work so much on Instagram that it's just hard for me to use it. It's just like,
Yeah.
that.
You know what it is? It's difficult for me to even keep up with one social media. As stupid as that sounds, like taking care of YouTube alone is so much time, and then
Yeah,
having to do Instagram on top, it becomes a thing. Like you realize that you're not spending 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It's like
yeah.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll talk about that off camera, where like there's tools that I can teach you, and things that you can use that it'll be easy for you to consistently post on all those platforms easily if you want. So
Awesome.
and less time that you'll need to spend on it with all the tricks that I can show you. So we'll talk
Mhm.
about that off camera. But thank you so much for having me today. I really appreciate just having a chance to chop it up with you and stuff. I love your podcast, so it's great.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is awesome. And I'm happy that you were able and willing even to come on the podcast, because as I said, it is difficult getting females for some odd reason. But if you are a female out there and you've
Get
got a
yourself
cool
out there.
story,
Yeah, get
uh,
yourself out
you
there.
gotta, or even, hey, if you're not a female, I'm always looking for interesting people to be on the podcast. So if you know somebody or you think you know somebody, then holler at me. You know what I mean? And on top of that, maybe you own a business and maybe you kind of want to sponsor the podcast. You could
Yeah,
totally do that too.
there
I've
you go.
got many sponsors on the go and I could add more to the list. So I wouldn't mind that. If you want to do a collab or something like that, we could totally do it up, and you can hit me up, whether it be via email or even in the comments down below. And we'll make it happen for sure.
Cool.
That being said, I'd like to thank our sponsor once again, Quest Trade. Hit them up, link in the description below. And this is the end of the No Fun City podcast, episode 16. Peace out.
Peace out.
Today's episode of the No Fun City podcast is brought to you by Quest Trade. There's a new world in investing where the fees are low and you come first. It's time to switch. Head over to questtrade.com to check out do-it-yourself, self-directed investing. Take matters into your own hands, build your own investment portfolio with a self-directed account, and save on fees. Make your money work harder. Quest Trade is Canada's fastest growing online brokerage with over 21 years experience in the Canadian market, $18 billion in assets under administration, and a 9-time winner of the best managed companies in Canada. And you could rest assured knowing that your money is in good hands. They go above and beyond to protect your account with an additional $10 million in private insurance, so you know your money is safe. For more information, check out questtrade.com. Just use the link in the description below.